Okay, fifth graders, today is Monday, February 10th, and we are doing Module 4, Lesson 6. And today what we're going to work on is we're going to find a fraction of a set. What that means is we're going to find a fraction of a collection, like a fraction of a set of things, like a fraction of students or a fraction of water bottles. Like there's a collection, a certain number of things, and we're going to find a fraction of that set. Does that make sense? Well, if it doesn't now, it will later. Okay, so as promised today, we're finding a fraction of a set. Okay, so in this first set, we have 6 items. I've drawn them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll notice I drew them in a certain way, and I'm going to show you why in just a second. If I wanted to split them into 3 equal groups, this would be one group, this would be the second group, and this would be the third group. Do you guys agree? And this is 1/3 of it, and this is also 1/3 of it, and this is 1/3 of it too. So if I wanted to find 1/3 of 6, it would be this group. How much is in 1/3 of 6? How many items were in one group of 6, or 1/3 of 6? 2. So 1/3 of 6 is 2. So then, if I want to find 2/3, I have to circle, or I have to shade in 2 of the groups. 1/3, 2/3. So how many are in 2/3 of 6? 4. Very good. You'll notice that when I drew my set, I drew 1, 2, 3, and then I started 4, 5, 6 on the bottom. And that's because to divide it into 3 equal groups, it helps to have them in 3 columns. Okay, so let's try this same thing, but with a different problem. Here again, we have a fraction of a set. Write down 1/4 of 12. Don't draw any pictures yet, though. Let's analyze this problem. We're finding a fraction. What's the fraction?
1/4.
Okay, of
12.
a set. How many are in the set?
12.
So that means I have 12 items I need to draw all together. In order to draw 1/4, I have to separate those 12 into how many equal-sized groups? 4, right? 4 equal groups in order to have 1/4. If the fraction was 1/8, how many equal groups would I need to draw? 8. If the fraction was 1/25, how many equal groups would I need to draw? 25. In this case, my denominator tells me my units will be fourths, which means I need to have it in 4 groups in order to have 1/4. So in order to draw my set of 12 in a way that's going to be easily divisible by 4, I'm going to do 4 across and then start my next row. How many items have I drawn so far in my set? 8. How many do I actually want?
12.
So there are 12 items in my set. I'm going to divide them into 4 groups. Do you guys agree that I've divided this now into 4 equal groups? Okay. And then let's shade in one of those fourths. 1. There we go. So therefore, how many items did we shade in? 1/4 of 12 is 3. Again, we're finding a fraction of a set. 1/4 of 12 is 3. What this means is if I have 12 cupcakes and I want to eat 1/4 of them, how many cupcakes would I eat? 3. If I have 12 pizzas and I want to give Anirag 1/3 of them, how many would Anirag get? 4. Using this picture, if I had 12 candies and I want to give Tatiana 3/4 of all my candies, how many would I give her? 9, because I would give her 1 group, that's 1/3, 2/3, 2/4, and 3/4. So I would give her 9 candies. Okay, so we're using a picture today to help us find a fraction of a set. Okay, let's try it in word problem context. You don't need to copy down the problem, just write down what the question's asking and the important information. Mrs. Pham has 8 apples. She wants to give 3/4 of the apples to her students. How many apples will her students get? Okay, so we're trying to find out how many apples her students will get. How many apples does she have altogether in her set?
8.
Okay, so we're finding a fraction of the set, so we're finding a fraction of 8. What fraction of her set is she giving away? 3/4. Okay, so we're trying to find 3/4 of 8. How many items should we draw in our set? 8. We want to split it into how many equal-sized groups? 4. So then we draw 4 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, we draw it like this because it allows us easily to divide it into 4 equal groups. Do you guys see that? Now, let's circle 3 of the groups because our fraction tells us we've divided it into fourths now. but we want to give away 3 of them. So here's 1, 2, 3 of the fourths. How many apples are in 1/4 of 8?
2.
So how many apples are in 3/4 of 8?
6.
So the answer is, how many will her students get?
6.
What if the question was, after giving away 3/4 of her apples, Mrs. Pham ate the rest? How many apples did Mrs. Pham eat? Sushant? 2 apples, because we can see that there are 2 apples left that she could eat. What fraction of the apples did Mrs. Pham eat? Good, because then we think of it as this is 1, right? 2, 3, 4/4 altogether. Make sense? Good. Do you guys see how in these 2 questions, they have the same set, 24 students, and the same fraction is given, 5/6. Do I solve both by finding 5/6 of 24? No. For the bottom one, what fraction of a set would I be finding? 1/6 of 24. So be careful. They will always give you all the information you need, but it may not be just copying it directly from the problem. Okay, let's solve the original problem. 5/6 of 24. How many items are in the set? How many items are in the set? 24. I want the set to be divided into how many equal sized groups?
6.
And how many of those groups will I circle? Do you see how all of the numbers there have a purpose? So let's go ahead and draw 24 items in 6 sets, or 6 groups. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I now have all 24 students, and they are arranged into 6 groups. I want to circle 5 of those groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many students did I circle? 5 times 4 equals 20 what? 20 students. Good. Well, yeah, you can write there are 20 boys or 20 students are boys. Okay? If I were solving the bottom problem, I would want to circle only 1 group, right? So how many students would be girls? Everyone? 4 students. Can you imagine a class where there's 20 boys and 4 girls?
In my old school.